She was born into an empire that poisoned the earth. Now she's the only one brave enough to tear it down. In a world where soil is sterilized for profit and global hunger is manufactured by the powerful, Mia Carter, the estranged daughter of a corporate titan, uncovers a truth so devastating it threatens to ignite a global reckoning. With whistleblowers disappearing, nations divided, and a shadowy syndicate pulling the strings, Mia must risk everything to expose a conspiracy rooted not just in greed, but in her blood. This isn't just about saving the planet. It's about saving the future from the very family who raised her. The grand chandelier scattered 1,000 prisms of light across the glittering ballroom of the Metropolitan Center. The murmur of dignitaries, the clinking of glasses, and the soft hum of the string quartet filled the air. Mia Carter stood quietly at the back, her heart pounding beneath the sleek black gown she wore. Tonight was supposed to be the pinnacle of her career, the moment when all the sacrifices, all the years of solitary work, culminated in recognition. The Environmental Excellence Award, a symbol of hope, a nod to her relentless fight for sustainable chemistry. But the letter in her purse felt heavier than the golden trophy she was about to receive. Mia slipped a hand into the clutch bag at her side, fingers curling around the edges of the envelope. It was cream-colored, embossed with the emblem of Mosaic Fertilizers, the corporate giant whose name she had avoided for decades. The letter was unsigned, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Dear Mia, your achievements are remarkable. It is time we spoke. Please come home. The words clawed at her chest, a ghost from a past she had fought to leave behind. The announcer's voice rang out, crisp and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Dr. Mia Carter. Applause erupted as Mia's name echoed through the hall. Her steps felt automatic, rehearsed. Smiling politely, she ascended the stage, the spotlight framing her as if she were a statue. The applause swelled, faces blurring into a sea of admiration. As she took the microphone, the weight of the letter pressed on her mind. She spoke eloquently about innovation, responsibility, and the urgent need for change. The audience hung on every word, but inside Mia's thoughts raced. Why now? Why reach out after all these years? After the ceremony, as photographers swarmed and well-wishers pressed in, Mia retreated to a quiet corner of the ballroom. She finally unfolded the letter carefully, the paper soft, but the message cutting sharp. Her father's company, the very entity she had condemned in her research for environmental violations, had secretly funded the grant that supported her work. Memories flooded back. The cold dinners, the whispered arguments, the final blow when her parents disowned her at 19. They had wanted her to attend a prestigious university, follow the family legacy, but she had chosen a community college instead. A choice they never forgave. Now, decades later, the same family wanted to pull her back in, offering both support and strings. Mia's phone buzzed, a message lighting the screen. Dinner tomorrow at the estate. You need to see this for yourself. Dad. She stared at the message long after the room had emptied. The fight within her surged. Anger, curiosity, pain, hope. For hours, Mia sat in her apartment, the city lights casting shadows on her face. She finally made a decision. She would go. But not without answers. Tomorrow she would return to Carter Manor. The following morning, the sky over Cambridge was bruised with thick clouds. Rain threatened, but hadn't yet fallen. Mia Carter sat by her window, cradling a cup of coffee gone, cold. She hadn't slept. Her thoughts had raced through the night, playing old arguments in her head like a skipping record. Her apartment, normally her sanctuary, felt too small. The walls bore reminders of the life she had built on her own. Awards, papers, student photos, memories, all earned without a single ounce of her family's help. And yet here she was, suitcase packed, ticket booked, en route to face the very people who had shut her out of their lives. By noon, she was in the back of a Blacktown car, winding through the countryside outside the city. The trees grew taller, the roads narrower. Fields rolled like green velvet, interrupted by occasional farms and stone walls. It was familiar, uncomfortably so. Carter Manor came into view like a ghost from her past, A massive Georgian estate with towering columns and sprawling lawns, a place that had once felt like a prison, dressed in opulence. The driver slowed at the wrought iron gates. A security guard stepped out, nodded at Mia, and pressed a button. The gates creaked open, slow and deliberate. Her throat tightened. She stepped out of the car and was immediately greeted by a woman in her late 50s, silver-haired, tall, perfectly tailored. "Mia," the woman said, voice cool but measured. "You came." It was her mother, Evelyn Carter. Mia stiffened. "I'm here to see Dad." Her mother nodded once. "He's in the greenhouse. He spends most of his time there now." No apology, no warmth. Just clipped civility, as if the last 18 years were a minor inconvenience. The walk to the greenhouse was eerily silent. The estate grounds were unchanged. Rose gardens manicured to perfection, marble fountains still bubbling, and the scent of jasmine in the air. It made Mia feel 16 again, walking on eggshells, afraid to breathe wrong. Inside the greenhouse, it was warm and humid. Her father stood hunched over a tray of seedlings, his once broad shoulders bent with age but still commanding. He looked up as she entered. "Mia," he said simply. "Dad." Silence stretched between them. Not the awkward kind, but the heavy, bruised kind, thick with unspoken things. "I read the letter," she said finally. "I hoped you would." "You funded my grant, through a proxy." He nodded. "Yes. Why?" "Because you're doing what we failed to do. Create something lasting, ethical. I wanted to support that, even if anonymously." Mia crossed her arms. "Why now? After all these years?" Her father turned back to the seedlings. "Because we're running out of time, and I needed you to see it for yourself." "See what?" He looked at her, eyes heavy with something she couldn't name. "Mosaic is not what you think. Not anymore." Before she could reply, the greenhouse door opened. A younger man stepped in, tall, brown hair, tousled, suit jacket casually slung over one shoulder. Late 30s, confident, familiar. Mia's eyes narrowed. "Jason," her cousin, he smiled. "Welcome home, Dr. Carter." Mia hadn't seen Jason in over a decade. The last time they spoke, he had just joined Mosaic's legal team. She remembered him as ambitious, slick, and loyal to the company above all else. "What's he doing here?" she asked. Her father gestured, between them. "He's the one who discovered the irregularities in our research labs. Jason brought the documents to me last month. He's the reason I reached out." Jason stepped forward. "We have a problem, Mia, one that could undo everything you've built, and everything your research was meant to prevent." Mia blinked. "What kind of problem?" He pulled a tablet from his bag and handed it to her. "Start with this." On the screen was a series of internal reports, leaked memos, soil contamination levels, unapproved chemical tests, all bearing Mosaic's logo, all dated within the last year. All criminals. Mia's face hardened. "They're still dumping," she whispered. "And falsifying environmental compliance." Jason nodded. "And your name, your project, has been attached to these initiatives as a token of credibility." Mia's stomach turned. "So, this isn't just a betrayal, it's theft. They're using me as a shield." Jason's expression darkened. "Yes, and it gets worse." Mia scrolled through the tablet, each document cutting deeper than the last. The company had not only manipulated data, but had used language pulled directly from her published research without her permission. They cited her findings in their internal documents as justification for relaxing safety thresholds. In truth, the data had been twisted beyond recognition. Jason leaned against a nearby table. "They used your peer-reviewed articles to legitimize toxic shortcuts." Mia's breath caught in her throat. "This could cost lives." Jason nodded grimly. "And it already has. There are reports of contaminated groundwater near the Elmridge test site. Increased illness rates in surrounding towns. Nothing officially traced yet, but it's coming." Her father looked away, jaw tight. "It wasn't always like this, but the board changed. New investors. They're pushing for short-term gain. I built Mosaic as a legacy. Now they're dismantling it piece by piece." Mia looked at the two men, a storm brewing in her eyes. "So why tell me now?" Why bring me into this? Her father's voice lowered. Because you're the only one who can stop them. They moved to the conservatory, a quieter, more formal part of the manor, flanked by high-arched windows and antique furniture that had gone untouched since Mia was a child. Jason laid out their options. You have credibility. You're outside. The company. If you go public with this, it'll trigger an investigation. The media, the Environmental Standards Bureau, even international regulatory bodies, they'll listen to you. Mia shook her head. You don't understand. If I do that, my name is finished. Every researcher who ever trusted me, every student I've mentored, they'll question everything. Jason was calm. But if you stay silent, it's already finished. Just slower. Bloodless. Her mother entered, arms crossed. And what about us, Mia? Do you have any idea what a scandal would do to this family? Mia didn't flinch. Are you more concerned with appearances than people getting sick? You don't know the full picture, Evelyn snapped. You walked away before you ever saw what it takes to run an empire. Mia stood tall. No, I saw plenty. That's why I walked. After the confrontation, Mia retreated to the gardens alone. The wind picked up, stirring leaves along the gravel path. In her mind, she replayed the data, the manipulated research, the names of the victims, the desperate note in her father's voice. She also replayed every memory of growing up in this house, being told to be quiet, to sit still, to conform. Her mother called her ungrateful when she got into a state school instead of Yale. Her father, distant and cold, was obsessed with legacy over love. And yet, something had changed. He looked old now, broken in a way she had never seen before. That night, she stood on the edge of the estate grounds, cell phone in hand. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She could call her lawyer, her editor at Nature Ecology, a journalist friend at The Guardian. One call could destroy the company and everything her family had built, but also, it could protect future generations. It could force accountability. She looked back at the manor. Its windows glowed faintly in the dark, like eyes watching her. Then she looked forward, toward the tree line, the horizon, the world that she had chosen when she walked away from here 18 years ago. Mia Carter made her choice. She opened her phone, dialed. When the line connected, she said just 3 words, I'm going public. Mia Carter, a renowned environmental scientist, discovered that Mosaic Fertilizers, her estranged family's company, has been using her research to greenwash dangerous shortcuts, resulting in environmental and public health risks. Faced with a moral and personal crisis, she made a pivotal decision to go public. It began with an email. Subject line, for immediate release. Environmental fraud at Mosaic Fertilizers. Attached were 173 pages of internal documents, falsified reports, and side-by-side comparisons of Mia's real research versus Mosaic's altered versions. It was thorough. It was damning. Within an hour, the document leaked to 5 media outlets, an anonymous environmental watchdog blog, and a coalition of international environmental agencies. By noon, The Guardian, Reuters, and BBC had picked up the story. By sundown, Mia Carter's name was on every major news channel. Jason met her at the Safe House, a quiet rental hidden behind ivy-laced brick walls in Oxfordshire. He looked tired. You just declared war. Mia gave a sharp nod. Let them come. Jason turned on the TV. The headlines rolled. Renowned researcher accuses Mosaic Fertilizers of environmental fraud. Whistleblower leak triggers government. Inquiry. Carter family empire under fire. Daughter exposes billion-dollar scandal. Mia folded her arms. I expected the media storm. Jason's lips tightened. You didn't expect this, though. He handed her his phone. Statement from Mosaic Fertilizers. We are disappointed to see Dr. Mia Carter's false and defamatory accusations. She has not worked with us in any formal capacity and seems to have ulterior motives. We are cooperating with all investigations and will pursue legal recourse for these baseless claims. They're painting you as bitter, vengeful, an estranged daughter with a vendetta, Jason added. Mia's voice was icy, They're terrified. That night, Mia received a private call from her mother. Evelyn's tone was sharp, controlled. You always had a flair for drama, but this is beyond disgraceful. I'm not interested in your scolding, Mother. Then maybe you'll care that you've destroyed your father. He collapsed in the boardroom this morning. Stress-induced? Arrhythmia, Mia paused. You don't get to guilt me for his choices, she replied. He let this happen. Evelyn's voice darkened. You think you're noble? You've jeopardized thousands of jobs. You've invited regulators into our lives. You've turned us into a spectacle. No, you did that when you chose profit. Over, people, Mia snapped, and don't pretend this is new. You knew. You always knew. Silence. Then, Evelyn's final blow. We've hired lawyers. If you continue this campaign, we'll sue you for defamation, theft of confidential documents, and breach of family trust. This is your last warning. The line went dead. Despite the storm, Mia found support. Dr. Leon Bao, a top UN environmental scientist, publicly backed her claim. The manipulation of peer-reviewed research for industrial shortcuts is not only unethical, it's a global threat. Students from her program began a viral campaign. Stand with Maya. But the most surprising ally came in person. It was her brother, Caleb Carter. Tall, charismatic, groomed since childhood to inherit Mosaic. They hadn't spoken in 12 years. He showed up at the Oxford Cafe where she took meetings with activists and lawyers. I'm not here to stop you, he said. I'm here to help. Mia laughed bitterly. You're Mosaic's future. I was, Caleb said, his expression heavy. But they cut me out months ago, after I asked questions about the Elmridge site. Mia stared at him. You knew? I suspected. But I didn't have proof. You do. She narrowed her eyes. Why help now? Because I saw that file. Dump. Because I believe you. And because this company is a monster, but it's our monster. Caleb warned her about what was coming. Mosaic's lawyers filed a cease and desist. Private investigators began tailing her colleagues. News tabloids published false stories of past mental health issues, leaked by anonymous family sources. Then came the sabotage. Someone hacked into Mia's lab network. Years of unpublished research, her life's work, corrupted. Jason was furious. This is more than retaliation. This is war. But Mia stood firm. They can bury me under noise. It won't stop the truth. The Environmental Standards Bureau formally opened an investigation. Mia was subpoenaed to testify in front of Parliament. The night before her appearance, she barely slept. Caleb drove her to the hearing. You don't have to do this alone, eh, Mia? Smiled weakly. But I do. This isn't just about us anymore. Inside the chamber, reporters clicked their cameras. Lawyers whispered. Industry lobbyists sat stiffly, arms crossed. Maya sat at the witness table, cleared her throat, and began. My name is Dr. Mia Carter. For the past 15 years, I've dedicated my life to the study of soil chemistry, sustainable agriculture, and environmental protection. I never imagined I would one day sit here and explain how my work was turned into a weapon, not by a hostile government or fringe group, but by my own family. She went on, detailing the evidence, showing documents, naming names. She didn't flinch when the board's lawyers objected. She didn't falter when the Minister of Industry grilled her. She ended with this. We often ask why good people stay silent. The real question is, what happens when one finally speaks? The chamber erupted in flashes. Reporters lunged for quotes. Mosaic's lawyers looked rattled. Jason met her outside, pride in his eyes. You did it. She shook her head. We just started. 3 days later, Mia received an encrypted USB from an anonymous source. No return address, no signature. Inside, a confidential boardroom recording. Mosaic executives are discussing a plan to bribe a foreign environmental official, to discredit Mia by planting psychiatric records, and something else, a hidden offshore account in the name of E. Carter, her mother. After publicly exposing Mosaic fertilizers, Mia Carter faced a massive smear campaign and legal attacks. from her own family. Unexpectedly, her brother Caleb offered help, claiming he had also been pushed out of the company. After testifying before Parliament, Mia received a mysterious USB containing proof of deeper corruption, including bribes, sabotage, and a hidden offshore account in her mother's name. Mia stared at the USB again. The audio clip played on repeat. In her mind, transfer the funds to the Belmara account under E. Carter. She'll manage the diplomat. The scientist is already on shaky ground. We just need to push harder. The voices were unmistakable. Mosaic's COO, legal chief, and Evelyn Carter. Jason leaned over the laptop, his brows furrowed. This isn't just about corporate sabotage. This is international criminal activity. Mia closed the laptop. We go to the authorities, Caleb interjected. That's not enough. He paced the room. This is big, Mia. Bigger than even you know. Mosaic has subsidiaries in 7 countries. They've been laundering money, paying off regulatory agencies, and hiding toxic waste under shell companies. That offshore account? It's just a breadcrumb. Jason stared at him. How do you know all this? Caleb paused. Because I helped set up some of the systems, before I knew what they were really for. Silence. Mia's jaw tightened. You're telling me you were part of the machine? Yes, Caleb said softly. But I'm trying to dismantle it now. I brought someone who can help. He motioned toward the door. A woman entered. Sharp eyes, severe bob haircut, a trench coat with the collar up. She extended a card. Layla Noorani, investigative forensic accountant. Private contractor, formerly with the Serious Fraud Office. Mia looked between them. I hope to God I'm not being set up. Layla smiled thinly. You're not, but you're going to need a bigger boat. Layla worked quickly. Within days, she and Caleb uncovered a network of front companies, off-book accounts, and falsified invoices. I need full access to your data, she told Mia. Everything from your lab results to correspondence with Mosaic scientists. Mia hesitated but agreed. That night, as she backed up her files to an encrypted server, a strange alert popped up. Remote login attempt from an unknown IP address. She shut her laptop. We've been breached. Jason's face darkened. Someone on the inside? Layla and Caleb were out gathering more data, so Mia turned to the only person she hadn't yet doubted, her former student and current assistant, Noor. Noor, did you give anyone your login credentials? Noor blinked. No. Why? Mia watched. Her. Something was off. Noor's hands trembled slightly. Her voice had a crack she couldn't conceal. Later that night, Mia traced Noor's network activity. A set of emails stood out, encrypted and routed through a dummy server in Zurich, and then she saw it. A file dump. Lab reports. Personal emails. Early drafts of Mia's testimony. All forwarded. To a Mosaic executive. Noor's been feeding them intel, Mia told Jason, her voice shaking with rage. Jason rubbed his face. We trusted her. She probably thought she was helping the family, Mia said bitterly. Or they paid her off. Jason paused. So what now? Expose her? Mia hesitated. No. We keep her close. If they think we don't know, we can feed them misinformation. The next day, Mia greeted Noor warmly. I need you to handle a sensitive project. New soil analysis from the Guatemala site. Top secret. The data was bogus. Designed to be traced. A digital trap. Within 48 hours, the Guatemala leak appeared in Mosaic's internal systems. Exactly as planned. We've got our back door now, Jason whispered. Let's bleed them dry. At her private estate in Surrey, Evelyn, Carter called an emergency meeting with her attorneys. She's more dangerous than we thought, Evelyn muttered, pouring scotch into Crystal. And now she has the boy on her side. Her lawyer, a steely woman named Mirabelle Shaw, nodded. The best defense is offense. We initiate an international defamation lawsuit, freeze her accounts, seize her passport, bury her under red tape. And Caleb? Discredit him, Shaw said. Photos, past affairs, alcohol abuse, anything we can dig. Evelyn's jaw twitched. He was always weak. But Mia, she's mine. She has my fire. Shaw looked up. And fire consumes. News broke that Mosaic filed a multi-country lawsuit against Mia, accusing her of espionage, intellectual property theft, libel, and defamation, breach of family trust. Her assets were frozen. Her university contract was suspended pending investigation. Protesters outside her home held signs that read, "Mia the Mole," and "Liar in a Lab Coat." Jason pulled her into the kitchen. "We're losing the PR war," Caleb added. "People don't know who to believe." Layla brought options. "There's one path forward. Release the recording publicly. Name your mother. Burn the last bridge." Mia stared at the laptop. Her finger hovered over the upload button. It was a choice between survival and shattering what remained of her family. Jason spoke gently. "You've come too far to stop now," Mia whispered. "Then let it burn." She clicked. The video went live. In it, Evelyn Carter's voice was clear, cold, and cruel. "Transfer the funds. She'll handle the scientist. We'll push the psych angle harder." It spread like wildfire. By nightfall, international outlets ran with the headline, "CEO Evelyn Carter implicated in international bribery scandal." Government inquiries have been launched. Investors pulled funding. Stocks plummeted. Mosaic was in free fall. And Evelyn? She went silent. No public statement. No media appearance. Just a single photo leaked. Evelyn, alone in her glass office, staring at a torn photograph of her daughter. Victory came with a price. Noor vanished. Her apartment was cleared. Layla received a death threat taped to her car. Caleb was followed home by unmarked vehicles. And Mia, she could no longer walk the streets without a security detail. One evening, she found Jason asleep at the kitchen table, a newspaper open beside him. On the front page, whistleblower. Mia Carter vindicated. Parliament moves to sanction Mosaic. But her eyes fell on a smaller headline. Scientist's mother faces arrest warrant. Evelyn Carter to be tried for fraud. Mia clutched the paper. Her hand shook. She whispered, "This wasn't supposed to destroy her." Jason stirred. She destroyed herself. After exposing her mother, Evelyn Carter's voice in a leaked recording implicating Mosaic Fertilizers in bribery and corruption, Mia Carter becomes both a global hero and a target. Her whistleblowing brings Mosaic's empire to its knees. But while she gains temporary vindication, mysterious threats mount, and an even deeper truth begins to surface. One that could cost lives far beyond boardrooms and courtrooms. It began with a file. A gray, encrypted document was found buried in one of Mosaic's offshore server backups. Layla decrypted it over 2 days, piecing together fragments of invoices and signed authorizations. At first glance, it looked routine. Contracts, supply, orders, project memos, but then they noticed something strange. Project Echo, Phase 3, soil conditioning and biodeterrent deployment. Jason read the metadata. Signed by Evelyn Carter, approved by foreign agents, payment routed through the Singapore node. Mia's brow furrowed. What is biodeterrent deployment? Layla cross-referenced internal code names. What? She uncovered made the room go silent. Project Echo wasn't an agricultural enhancement. It was a covert biogeochemical operation, a toxic soil program meant to render farmland sterile in a disputed region of eastern Kosovia, bordering an energy pipeline route Mosaic had long sought control over. Jason leaned in. "You're saying they poisoned the land to drive out local farmers?" Mia's voice was hollow. "And clear the way for pipeline access. No residents, no resistance." Mia called a friend. A fellow researcher, Dr. Farid Nadim, based in a university near Eastern Kosovia, he answered with urgency. "Mia, I was going to call you. People here are dying." Farid detailed a disturbing trend. Villages near the pipeline corridor were reporting skyrocketing birth defects, strange cancers, and entire herds of livestock dying overnight. "We sent soil samples to Germany," he said. "They came back loaded with synthetic barium nitrate derivatives. Banned substances. Untraceable, unless you know what to look for." Mia's stomach turned. It wasn't just corruption. It was chemical warfare disguised as agriculture. Jason turned pale. "We're not just talking about fraud anymore. We're talking about crimes against humanity." That night, the safe house turned into a war room. Caleb stormed in, clutching a printed dossier. Someone's leaking to the press, but twisting the facts. They're painting you, Mia, as the mastermind. Behind Project Echo, Evelyn's legal team is pivoting, claiming you hacked the files and misinterpreted Mosaic's intentions. Layla swore. They're trying to reverse the narrative, Jason added, and confuse the public just long enough to destroy the evidence. Mia said nothing. Her face was blank. Instead, she walked to the window and stared into the cold London night. They'll blame me to save themselves, she whispered. So be it, but I won't let them bury this. The next morning, Mia received an encrypted message from an anonymous sender. You don't know the full truth. Come to Oslo. Safe house, Nordfjord Lane 22. Bring nothing digital. Layla insisted it was a trap. Caleb argued it could be a mosaic setting her up. But Mia felt something else. I have to go, she said. Someone out there knows more, and I need the whole story. Against everyone's warnings, Mia boarded a private charter and disappeared into Norway's snow-covered capital. At Nordfjord Lane, she found a quiet cabin and a man waiting by the fire. He wore a turtleneck and heavy gloves, gray at the temples, eyes like winter steel. My name is Victor Hallström, he said. I used to work for the UN's Environmental Oversight Council, until Mosaic bought our silence. He handed her a file. Inside were satellite photos showing a convoy of trucks, transporting unlabeled canisters from Mosaic's Bulgarian facility into Kosovia, and logs showing direct communication between Evelyn Carter and a private military contractor. They didn't just poison the land, Victor said. They planned to displace thousands, ethnic cleansing by economic means. Back in London, Layla and Caleb faced a dilemma. Mosaic had launched a new counter-campaign, Shocks Mosaic Truth. Their spokesperson, a sleek ex-ambassador, announced a full internal audit and released doctored footage showing Mia supposedly fabricating evidence. Social media exploded. Supporters turned skeptical. Layla knew they had days, maybe hours, before public opinion flipped. Mia has to release what Victor gave her, Layla said. But Caleb frowned. She's gone dark. No comms, no updates. What if... He stopped. Jason entered, holding a brown envelope. It just arrived by courier. No return address. Inside was a single flash drive. They loaded it. The screen lit up with infrared images, maps, and a final video. Mia's voice. If you're watching this, it means I have the truth. But the truth is not enough. We need action. Justice. I won't come back until I know the world is ready to see what we've done to it. 3 days later, the video went live. Mia stood in front of a frost-glazed mountain, eyes heavy but defiant. She outlined Project Echo, naming names, Evelyn, the COO, the contractors, the bribed officials. Then she played the worst clip of all. A hidden camera video of Mosaic security officers dragging a Kosovian farmer and his family from their land. Mia's voice cracked. This isn't about policy. It's about people. About lives ruined to protect margins and market shares. And my mother signed the orders. The world gasped. The fallout was seismic. Mosaic's CEO, Evelyn Carter, issued a televised denial, then fled the country. Interpol issued warrants. Parliament called for a war crimes tribunal. The UN suspended all contracts with Mosaic and launched an independent investigation. And Mia? She became a global icon and a fugitive. With a bounty on her head from unknown donors and private hit squads suspected to be hunting her, she went underground. Jason met her in a safe house in Vienna weeks later. He handed her a sat phone and whispered, "You're not alone." She smiled, weary, wounded, but still fighting. After leaking footage that exposed Project Echo, a Mosaic fertilizers operation involving chemical sterilization of land in eastern Kosovia, Mia Carter became both a global icon and an international fugitive. Her mother, Evelyn, Mosaic's CEO, fled the country. Now, with international warrants issued, the fight has moved to a larger battlefield, international justice. But Mia is about to discover that Mosaic was only the head of a hydra, and the body stretches across continents. Mia stared at the map on the screen, red pins across Africa, South Asia, South America, and the Middle East. Each one represented a Mosaic subsidiary or partner organization. And every pin shared a disturbing pattern: forced displacement, land sterilization, legal gray zones, military involvement. Victor Hallstrom clicked open a PDF titled The Silent Deal: Mosaic and Partners Global Land Neutralization Contracts, 2013 to present. "It's not just Kosovia," he said quietly. "The same playbook's been executed in Ethiopia's Rift Valley, Chhattisgarh in India, Colombia's mining belt," Mia whispered. "This is global resource colonization. And no one's dared to connect the dots until now." Jason reached out through secure back channels to a network of whistleblowers Mia had once compiled as part of her global environmental research. Most had been silenced, discredited, or disappeared, but slowly they began to respond. Zainab Fawzi, a former water systems analyst in Sudan; Thomas Delgado, a land registry worker in Colombia; Annika Mehra, an ex-government soil scientist in India. All of them had stories, documents, photos, proof. They agreed to form a coalition called the Soil Witnesses, but getting them to testify publicly would mean risking their lives. Mia asked them one question: "If I give you a platform, if we all speak together, will you stand beside me?" Each replied in the same way: "Yes, it's time." The UN Special Tribunal on Environmental Crimes, rarely invoked, was activated for an emergency inquiry. The prosecutors, led by Dutch lawyer Amira Vos, invited Mia to provide primary testimony. But appearing publicly could result in immediate assassination or arrest by Mosaic's private operatives. Jason, Layla, and Caleb devised a plan. Mia would testify via holographic stream, broadcast from a secure underground server in Zurich. Meanwhile, 3 of the whistleblowers, Zainab, Annika, and Thomas, would attend in person, protected by international peacekeeping escorts. Victor turned to Mia. "You'll be the voice, but they will be the faces." Mia nodded. "Then we fight with everything we've got." Just before the tribunal, Evelyn Carter resurfaced, not in chains but in a Bloomberg-exclusive interview on a yacht off the coast of Malta. She looked calm, poised, even triumphant. "My daughter is troubled, misguided, and completely manipulated by anarchist groups." She claimed the documents had been fabricated, the footage deep-faked, and that Mosaic had always operated within lawful environmental practices. Layla slammed the laptop shut. "She's rewriting reality." Mia remained still. She's setting up reasonable doubt before the tribunal. "If we don't give them hard, layered proof, she walks," Jason interjected. "Or worse, she regains public favor." The war wasn't just legal now, it was psychological. Inside the UN tribunal chamber in The Hague, dignitaries from 47 nations sat in silence as Mia's holographic image flickered to life. She stood tall. Her voice was calm but charged. "I am Mia Carter. I was born into privilege, but privilege cannot silence the soul. Project Echo was not an anomaly. It was the blueprint." She laid out her mother's private communications, the chemical breakdowns, the forged land deals. Then came the testimonials. Zainab spoke of poisoned water tables in Darfur. Thomas revealed falsified land clearance orders. Annika showed a classified Indian report, approved by Mosaic's Asian Development Wing, detailing the predicted sterility of 9,000 hectares. The chamber held its breath. Just hours after the testimony, as Annika stepped out of her protected hotel in Geneva, a van surged forward. Security tackled her to the ground just in time. The van missed, but the message was clear. They were still being hunted. Interpol scrambled to trace the attack. Security was tripled. But more disturbing was what Mia received next, on a secure channel she hadn't used in weeks. "You've opened a floodgate, Mia, but you forgot the river's source. Mosaic wasn't the architect, only the executor. The Harrow Man." Jason paled. "Who the hell is the Harrow Man?" Victor rubbed his temples. "The name's only ever surfaced in black budget audits. If that's real, we're in a deeper web than we imagined." Mia called for an emergency summit of the Soil Witnesses. In a snowy chateau outside Lucerne, they gathered around a roaring fireplace. Mia stood at the head. We've exposed Mosaic. But someone else built the system, a shadow entity that profits from every poisoned acre. We call it the Harrow. Victor passed around a packet. Inside were documents from global agritech think tanks, offshore holding groups, and defense contractors. The Harrow wasn't a company. It was a syndicate of stakeholders, retired generals, oil magnates, banking liaisons. A network with no face, but vast reach. Thomas whispered, "So Mosaic was just a mask." Mia finished for him. "And the Harrow is the monster beneath." As Part 5 closes, Mia sits alone on a cliff overlooking Lake Lucerne, the wind biting through her coat. Jason approaches with a folder. "Interpol wants you to stay underground. The tribunal will move forward, but it will take time. They say it's too dangerous for you to keep leading the movement." Mia doesn't answer. He sits beside her. "You don't have to be the face anymore, Mia. Others will carry this torch." Mia turns to him, tears frozen on her cheeks. "But if I disappear now?" The Harrow wins. She stands, wine slicing through the night. "We'll need more than a tribunal. We'll need a revolution." And so she makes her pivotal choice to go public. Again. Not just as a whistleblower, but as the founder of a global resistance. Mia Carter's explosive testimony at the UN Tribunal exposed Mosaic Fertilizer's global environmental crimes. But behind Mosaic lies a darker force. The Harrow, a clandestine global syndicate profiting from sterilized land, displacement, and corruption. Mia chooses not to hide, but to lead a global resistance. The world teeters on the edge of revelation, rebellion, and reckoning. Mia's next move wasn't through lawyers. It was through a camera lens. On March 17th, her face streamed across 78 countries through social media, encrypted networks, and hacked corporate billboards. "My name is Mia Carter. My mother ran Mosaic Fertilizers." But she was only one branch of a global machine. The Harrow profits off land made lifeless. Now you know. The question is, what will you do? In Bangladesh, farmers marched with torches. In Nairobi, students filled Uhuru Park chanting, "The soil remembers." In Colombia, armed indigenous activists took back the sterilized lands. From Pakistan to Peru, resistance bloomed like weeds through concrete. In a last-ditch effort, Evelyn Carter filed a billion-dollar defamation lawsuit in the United States. In tandem, a PR firm launched a smear campaign branding Mia as a mentally unstable extremist. They even released fake footage of Mia meeting with known insurgents. It backfired. The real footage, showing Mosaic bribes to paramilitary forces in Kosovo and India, was released the same day by a rogue Mosaic VP-turned-whistleblower, Harlan Drake. It shattered public trust. Stock prices crashed. Shareholders jumped ship. Governments began terminating contracts. Evelyn Carter's empire wasn't just bleeding, it was hemorrhaging. But the Harrow wasn't done. On April 2nd, Mia received a package with no return address. Inside, a single red rose, a charred photograph of her childhood home, and a note. "This is not over." That night, simultaneous cyber attacks brought down major resistance websites. Whistleblower Zainab Fawzi's convoy was bombed in Sudan, killing her driver. Interpol lost track of 4 suspects tied to Harrow's European financial wing. Jason stared at the encrypted data from Zurich's breached servers. "Their cleaning house." Victor gritted his teeth. "They know their time is running out." April 14th, Mia agreed to an unprecedented public debate, broadcast globally from the UN Press Forum in Geneva. Across from her sat Evelyn Carter, perfectly tailored, unshaken, poison in pearls. "Mia, you knew what Project Echo would do." "Evelyn, we fed the world. You focus on the cost. I focus on the scale." "Mia, you sterilized land to drive dependency." "Evelyn, I stabilized volatile regions. You destabilize everything." For the first time, Evelyn's real ideology spilled out. Order through control, peace through environmental dependency, power through scarcity. And Mia? She didn't argue. She simply turned to the camera. And this is what a tyrant looks like when she loses control. Within weeks, Evelyn Carter was formally indicted on charges of ecocide, crimes against humanity, and corporate war profiteering. Her arrest, filmed by drone as she exited her Monaco estate, became an instant symbol. The fall of the Queen of Fertility. But the true climax came in the Hague courtroom. There, survivors testified, a Kosovian farmer held a clump of dust where his orchard once stood. An Indian child showed her tumor, linked to Mosaic's soil treatments. A former Mosaic chemist sobbed, recounting a suppressed report predicting sterility, zones over 12 million hectares. Evelyn never wept, never flinched, until Mia took the stand. She gave birth to me, but she buried generations in the name of empire. Evelyn closed her eyes, and for the first time, she looked human. On May 30th, Evelyn Carter was found guilty, sentenced to life in a high-security international facility. More importantly, the tribunal ruled Mosaic's global assets would be liquidated to fund the Regrowth Initiative, a multi-billion-dollar reparations and soil regeneration project overseen by neutral international scientists and local cooperatives. The soil witnesses became board advisors. Maya declined any official position. This movement belongs to the people harmed, not to me. 1 year later, in eastern Kosovia, green returned. Fields of barley shimmered in the wind. Children ran through saffron-yellow poppy patches. An old farmer knelt in the soil, held it to his nose, and whispered, "She's alive again." Mia Carter stood on the edge of the field beside Layla and Jason. A new organization, Verdantia, had formed, replacing Mosaic's ghost. Victor now teaches environmental ethics at the University of Geneva. Jason worked with Verdantia's AI soil recovery projects. Layla trained local activists in legal defense, and Mia, she vanished from public life. Until one spring morning, a short poem appeared on a resistance forum. The land was silenced. The roots were torn. But truth, like seeds, wait. It always finds the rain. MC, the soil remembered. And so did the world. The mosaic had shattered. But in the broken pieces, something new began to grow.